Hi there, my name's Alan Parks, and I'm here to tell you about my new novel, which is called Gunner. Gunner is set in Glasgow in 1941. It opens with the return of Joseph Gunner from France, where he'd been very badly injured. And as he gets off the train, his former boss, Mr. Drummond, who's a police inspector, as Gunner was a detective, meets him and asks him to help solve a case. At that time, the police in Glasgow had been very much decimated by the amount of people going off to the war. So there was a lot of older guys who were brought back to help run it, and a lot of younger guys, 17, 18, who were in a thing called the Police Auxiliary, which mostly dealt with traffic and that sort of thing. So we are now at St Andrew's Square in almost the east end of the city, and the large building behind me, the red sandstone one, which now sadly looks a bit dilapidated, is the old Central Police Office. This is where Drummond, our erstwhile hero Gunner's boss, has positioned himself and runs the city police force from there. At the time, well, it still is a huge building, but at the time it contained a court, cells, which unfortunately one of our characters ends up in. It had the stables, it had a garage. It was in a huge busy building that employed a lot of people. We're now in front of the Kelvin Hall, which apart from the guys working on it, doesn't look that much different than it did in the 40s. It was a huge exhibition space they used for circuses, trade shows, sports, whatever. It's enormous inside. It goes all the way back. At the start of the book, where Gunner comes back to Glasgow, he's met at the station by Drummond, his old boss, who drives him here. The reason being that sadly there were so many casualties from the bombing in Clydebank and Maryhill that bodies were brought here as a temporary morgue. So they go in to look at a body that's been found in a bombed out building, but doesn't seem to have been killed by the bomb, and that's really where the book starts. This is the Forth and Clyde Canal, which runs at a hill along the north side of Glasgow. During the war, there was a great fear that if this canal got bombed, the water would flow down into the city and cause more damage probably than the bombs themselves. So almost 17 miles of water would be coursing down the hill into the city centre. So in fear of that happening, they built some kind of emergency locks. And in the book, Gunner comes up here to help man these locks because they had to have people beside every lock just in case it happened. This giant lump of cast iron that I'm sitting on is actually one of half of the old gates that they put in fear of the water broaching from the canal. So as you can see, they were pretty serious gates. This is only half, and it's about 20 foot long, so the danger was very real. This is Comun Street, which today looks vastly different than it did during the 40s. In the 40s, this was a street of tenements, residential buildings full of people. Sadly, on the night of the 14th of March 1941, it was bombed quite heavily. There were 83 people killed and 180 injured, so this street was the street that suffered most in Glasgow from the bombings. Behind me here is the old Garbraid Road police station, where Gunner was stationed. It's pretty much in the middle of Maryhill. The barracks are that way, the Punch Bowl pub is that way. So it was kind of the centre of his life before he went. And when he comes back, this is one of the first places he comes to see his old mates and to try and pick up his life and find somewhere to stay. This pub is Gunner's Local. The police station he's attached to is just around the corner there on Garbraid Road. It's also one of the first places he comes when he gets back to Glasgow from France because he wants a pint. Maryhill Barracks was built in 1875. It was an enormous site. It's almost 30 acres. You can still see the wall here, which surrounds the whole thing. It's now a kind of housing estate, but at the time it was the home of the Scots Greys. It's also where Gunner came to join up. The gate, and particularly the gatehouse here, play a large part in the plot of the novel. Not that I can tell you much more than that, but this is a pretty significant area for Gunner and what happens to him. Thank you for listening to me talking a little bit about Gunner. The book is available to order from wherever you buy your books.